Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Julie Chrisley receives extended probation time after hearing. Julie Chrisley received extended probation time after her sentencing hearing. This was shocking for fans to hear. Everyone thought she might get less time in jail. However, that was not the case at all. Savannah Chrisley made it clear she was not happy about this. Keep reading to find out more. Savannah Chrisley is not happy. Savannah Chrisley has been vocal when it comes to her mother and her freedom. She is not afraid to speak her mind and let people know what is wrong in the justice system. However, some fans feel as though this is hurting her mother's chances of getting out sooner. They think Savannah is sabotaging it all by being so vocal about the issues. Wahaha, let Savannah's whining commence. Serves this family right, no accountability taking twats. If only her daughter would keep her damn mouth shut, she probably would be out soon. Julie Chrisley gets more probation time. Julie Chrisley recently had her sentencing hearing. Her family was hoping that she would get less time on her sentence and get home quickly. However, this was not the case at all. Julie ended up getting the same amount of time in prison. Also, she got 2 additional years of probation time. She originally had 3 years of supervised release. However, she now had 5 years of supervised release. Fans did not realize this until they saw the documents. Savannah has also not said much about this. Fans feel as though Julie asking for so much messed up her chances of a lesser sentence. She asked to attend the hearing via Zoom, a 24-hour furlough, and to wear street clothes. All were denied. This may have made the judge mad at her before it all started. Do you think this messed up her chances of getting out sooner? It seems the judge was not having it with Julie. They made sure to get the point across that your fame does not get you out of consequences for doing bad things. However, her attorney feels as though that is the only reason she did not get less time. They feel as though the judge wanted to make a point. Regardless, she is still in jail for the same amount of time and now has 2 additional years of probation. Julie Chrisley, once a pillar of Southern charm and the matriarch of the famous reality TV family, now finds herself navigating the complex and uncertain world of the American justice system. The Chrisley family had long basked in the limelight of fame, wealth, and privilege, capturing millions of viewers with their show, Chrisley Knows Best. But as often happens with the rise to fame, life has a way of unraveling the neat narrative stitched together by television's glossy veneer. It all began years ago when Julie and her husband, Todd Chrisley, were implicated in a financial scandal that rocked their carefully curated image. Charges of tax evasion, wire fraud, and conspiracy loomed over them, and their fairy tale lifestyle quickly turned into a courtroom drama that made headlines. What followed was an emotional roller coaster for their family and fans alike. Both Julie and Todd were sentenced to prison, but their cases remained complicated, with hearings and appeals prolonging their entanglement with the legal system. At the most recent hearing, Julie Chrisley once again found herself at the mercy of the court, seeking a reprieve from the years of probation that loomed over her future like a dark cloud. With each appearance, she hoped for leniency, for a chance to prove that she had learned from her mistakes and could move forward. However, the latest ruling did not bring the outcome she had desired. The courtroom was a far cry from the opulent settings where Julie was once comfortable. There was no grand chandelier lighting her way, no designer dress to mask the strain etched across her face. Instead, there was the cold, hard reality of the situation, and the faces of the judge and jury staring back at her with a mixture of skepticism and sympathy. Julie sat quietly in her seat, fingers intertwined, the weight of the past few years pressing heavily on her shoulders. Her lawyer whispered assurances, but she knew that the decision rested with the judge now. Her husband Todd remained in prison, a separate chapter in this ongoing saga, and Julie had hoped that by now, some of the legal turmoil might have eased. Yet, as the judge began to speak, it was clear that Julie's probation would be extended. The words hung in the air, heavy and unyielding. Julie's heart sank, but she forced a calm smile, unwilling to show the world just how much this setback had affected her. The extension meant more years of probation, a longer period of her life to be lived under scrutiny, with restrictions that would remind her daily of the mistakes she had made. Outside the courtroom, the media swarmed, eager for a glimpse of the Chrisley matriarch. Flashes from cameras flickered like lightning, but Julie, ever composed, kept her chin high. She had been trained by years in the spotlight to remain graceful under pressure, and this moment was no different. As she faced reporters, the narrative they spun was already beginning to take shape. Julie Chrisley receives extended probation time after hearing. But for Julie, the headline didn't capture the full story. It didn't capture the sleepless nights she had endured, the quiet moments of reflection in which she had considered how her choices had impacted her family. It didn't reflect the strength she had found in her children, who stood by her despite the turmoil, or the faith she clung to in the hope that one day, this chapter of her life would come to an end. In her heart, she knew this was a test of resilience, not just for herself, but for the Chrisley name. Fame had its price, and she was paying it now. But she also knew that her story was far from over. With each legal setback, Julie became more determined to rebuild her life, not just for herself but for her family. She imagined a future where the courtroom drama was a distant memory, where she could once again focus on being a mother, a wife, and a grandmother without the specter of probation hanging over her. As she left the courthouse, Julie's mind wandered back to simpler times. Before the fame, before the wealth, before the legal battles, there had been a time when the Chrisleys were just a regular family. She longed for a return to that simplicity, though she knew that the world she had known was gone. Still, in her heart, she held out hope that redemption was possible, that she could emerge from this ordeal stronger and wiser. Julie's probation extension, though a setback, was not the end of her story. It was just another chapter in a book that had already seen its fair share of plot twists. She would face it as she had faced every other challenge, with grace, determination, and an unshakable belief in her ability to persevere. And perhaps one day the world would see that Julie Chrisley was more than the headlines suggested. As she climbed into the black SUV waiting to take her home, Julie let out a sigh. The road ahead was long, and it would be paved with challenges. But for now, she would focus on what mattered most: her family, her faith, and the quiet belief that she could still turn this around. The cameras would move on, the headlines would change, but Julie Chrisley would continue to write her story, one day at a time. Julie Chrisley sat quietly in the courtroom, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She had dressed modestly in a soft blue blazer, her face calm but her eyes betraying the turmoil within. It had been months since her life, once filled with lavish parties, opulent homes, and a hit reality TV show, had come crashing down around her. The rise and fall of the Chrisley family had been nothing short of a media circus, and today once again the spotlight burned down on her. The hearing was a formal affair, a necessary step in the ongoing saga that had begun years ago. The accusations of financial fraud, tax evasion, and dishonest dealings with banks had led to a high-profile trial, one that had captivated millions of viewers who had once followed her family's every move on Chrisley Knows Best. The show, a caricature of American success and Southern charm, had now become an ironic footnote in the wake of the Chrisley family's legal woes. Julie's husband, Todd Chrisley, sat a few rows behind her, his own legal battles far from over. His normally charismatic persona seemed dimmed under the courtroom's harsh fluorescent lights. No cameras were allowed inside. That didn't stop the sensation. Journalists and bloggers waited outside, their pens poised to detail the next chapter in the Chrisley downfall.